Well, good morning, Michigan. My name is Evan. I am here at the Howell Nature Center on Groundhog Day, and I could not be more excited to be your host for this virtual event. So, why virtual, you might ask? Because we want to make sure that this event is accessible to as many of you as possible. And maybe we have some folks tuning in from even outside of the state of Michigan. So today's virtual Groundhog Day event is not going to be short of any sort of fun. We have a whole host of things we're going to cover, including a little bit of history about Groundhog Day. We're going to get to actually meet Woody prior to, learn a little bit more about her. And then we are going to get to see our staff submissions for our snack contest. Now, I know many of you have submitted your snacks, and we will be announcing the winner to that later on, but our staff decided to join in the Groundhog fun. And then after that, we're gonna jump over to JC and Laura, our CEO and our Director of Wildlife, as they are there with Woody herself as she makes her Groundhog Day prediction. So hold tight and let me tell you a little bit more about where I am at the moment. So I am here in our Wild Wonders Park. Our One Island Wonders Wildlife Park has been around for the past few years and developed after we realized that we had an amazing opportunity to educate the folks of Livingston County with Livingston County's only teaching zoo. What that looks like is we have about 70 different full-time residents here. Now, these animals are special because not only are they ambassadors for their species, but they actually can't be released back out into the wild, which means that they have some sort of physical injury, like a broken wing, or some sort of mental injury, like they were kept as a pet and can't survive on their own. They don't have their survival skills. So these animals, like Woody would normally be out here behind me, are able to help teach people and get them a little bit closer to the animals that live in their own backyard. All right, we are almost ready to jump into our event, but first, I want to remind you all that today's Groundhog Day event is actually a fundraiser. So, you all helped us plant the seed last year by donating almost $600. And this year, we're hoping to grow that seed into $10,000 that'll help us build a new woodchuck habitat. Now, we will talk a little bit more about our plans for that new habitat later with Laura, but please consider making a donation at any point throughout our event by going to our website or the fundraiser on our Facebook page. All right, are you ready? Let the fun begin. What exactly is Groundhog Day? Well, it evolved from the European tradition of Candlemas Day. And Candlemas Day was on February 2nd, which, if you think about it, is kind of the halfway point of winter. And Europeans looked to the hedgehog to predict how many more weeks of winter there would be. So when Germans came over to the United States, they switched to the native woodchuck to make that prediction. Now, the first Groundhog Day was in 1887 in Pennsylvania. And Howell Nature Center has been celebrating Groundhog Day for several years now, and today will be Woody's 22nd prediction. That's quite a bit of good luck. Now, her accuracy rate is 76%. It's a little bit better than Punxsutawney's. So we can't wait to see what she predicts later today. Now, we aren't sure why Europeans looking to hedgehogs was a thing to make weather predictions, but we believe that Woody is actually using some science to make her predictions. Now, if Woody comes out of her house, then goes right back inside, or if she doesn't want to come out at all, it's because that she saw her shadow and was frightened of 6 more weeks of winter. Now, if she comes out and stays out, then we're in luck, and we are getting ready for an early spring. Now, the science behind this is that if it's a high-pressure system bringing cold air and open skies, then Woody would likely see her shadow. So there wouldn't be any clouds to obscure the sun. She'd get to see her shadow on the ground. And the other side of that is if there's a low-pressure system, which brings in warmth, then that also brings in clouds, and Woody would not be able to see her shadow. So pretty cool, right? We've got our very own little meteorologist in our Wild Wonders Park. But now I'm going to take it over to Chelsea and Woody as we learn a little bit more about our leading lady.
Thanks, Evan. I am here with Woody the Woodchuck in her winter holding space. So typically around this time of year, woodchucks in the wild are hibernating or getting ready to come out of hibernation. And what this means for them is basically they go underground in their burrows, and they actually sort of sequester themselves off in what they call their hibernation chamber. They curl up into a ball and they take a giant nap. And at this time, their body temperature can actually drop to about 40 degrees, and they only need to take about 1 breath every 6 minutes. So what this does for them is it lowers their metabolic rate, which means that when food is scarce in the wintertime, they don't need to eat as much. Here at the Nature Center, our woodchucks are unable to go through this hibernation process. Unfortunately, their habitats just don't allow for them to dig deep enough in the ground to be able to stay warm enough to make it through the hibernation process. So they stay in warm buildings like this instead. So a little background on Woody. She came to the Howell Nature Center after her mom was unfortunately killed. A farmer's wife found baby Woody, and hold on, let's give Woody a treat here. She found baby Woody and she decided that she was going to keep her as a pet, but woodchucks make terrible pets, and she brought her to the Nature Center. It's also illegal to have a woodchuck as a pet, so good to know. But she brought her to the Nature Center, and by the time she came here, she was just too habituated to people to be, you want my watch? To be able to be released. So she is here with us now. So at the Nature Center, nope, that's my finger. We try to give her a well-rounded diet. She gets things like rodent block, which is this little formulated pellet specially for rodents. She also gets lots of leafy greens, veggies and fruits and different nuts, but her absolute favorite foods are peanuts and corn on the cob and bananas. And kind of a fun fact about Woody, she is actually an amazing architect. She loves to take all the different enrichment things that we give her, like papers and boxes and things like that, and add them to her house that she has. So, oh my goodness, pretty much every day she has a different little building that she's made. So it's always fun to come in and see what she's come up with. So in the wild, groundhogs are pretty plentiful across the eastern US. They can be found as far south as Alabama and as far north as Alaska. So they're pretty adapted to a wide variety of climates. Their favorite habitats tend to be woodland edges and open meadows, and this is because they can have plenty of cover from predators, there's lots of food there, and there's also good soil for digging, which groundhogs love to dig. And they actually live really well alongside people because we tend to provide all of these things for them as well. So anyone with a woodchuck burrowing under their garage or shed or something like that can attest to this. So in the wild, they are herbivores. They eat things like grasses and leafy greens. They also dabble in the occasional insect. They have some pretty cool adaptations. So, oh my goodness. They're amazing diggers. Their burrows can have as many as 7 entrance and exit points, and they can actually tunnel as long as 60 feet sometimes. So it's pretty incredible, the burrows that they make, and they tend to be pretty complex with different chambers too, which is pretty cool. They're not really that fast. They tend to stay near their burrows, and they will sometimes do this little alarm call, which sounds like a high-pitched whistling if you've ever heard it. And that's probably where the name whistle pig came from. But basically, they do this whistle when they see a predator, and that lets all the other groundhogs know in the area that a predator might be near, so they can all sort of run for cover. And actually, it's kind of interesting because other animals, like chipmunks, have learned to respond to this alarm call as well. And another thing that you might not know about them, being members of the squirrel family, they're actually really good climbers. So you'll sometimes see them up in trees, either to kind of get away from predators, or they'll climb trees just to get a different vantage point so they can kind of see the area around, surrounding them. And these guys play a pretty important role in the ecosystem. Actually, many different species of animals will use abandoned groundhog burrows for their own dens, things like foxes and opossums, rabbits, skunks, even some reptile species will use old woodchuck burrows. Oh, hi! Here you go. She's decided to come hang out with us again. Okay, so another role that they play in the wild is that unfortunately they actually provide food for predator species. That's not unfortunately to the predators, but for the woodchucks. So as sad as it is part of the, keeping the ecosystem balanced, and it is important. So because of the foods that they eat, they're also very important seed dispersers, and they also help sort of control the population of insects because they do eat insects themselves sometimes, and they provide homes for those animals like skunks and opossums that are really critical in controlling our insect populations as well. So if you don't like pesky insects, groundhogs are a good thing. So that is all the information that we have about groundhogs this morning. Woody would just like you all to know that she knows it's been a tough year for everybody, so she is very focused on giving us all a solid, accurate prediction this morning. So we are going to get Woody ready for her prediction, and I will send you back to Evan.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. So hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed meeting and learning a little bit more about Woody. But now I'm here with Caitlin, our Wildlife and Education Manager, and I want to know where's here? Caitlin.
So this room is actually our clinic exam room. So we have this space to work with all injured and orphan animals that come here to the clinic. Every patient comes through this room in order to determine its injuries and what sort of treatment plan it needs. This is actually where 4,200 animals pass through every year, and where Woody the woodchuck actually started her journey.
That's absolutely amazing. Now, you said you see over 4,200 animals a year, but how many of those are actually woodchucks? They can't all be woodchucks, right?
So it is something that's variable. Last year, we actually received only 63 woodchucks here in the clinic.
Well, that's still a lot. That's not exactly a small number. So why are they here? What brings them to the clinic?
Various reasons. This past year, the majority that passed through our doors were actually true orphans that had lost their mothers. They often get hit by cars. Other incidents that we get them is they're caught by domestic pets like cats and dogs. Additional reasons that we might receive woodchucks are that they're perceived as orphans because they're playing near the den while mom's away feeding, and somebody immediately thinks, oh, this animal needs help. Even so long as keeping them for a few days at a time before they bring them here to the clinic.
What are some things that people can do to help them out at home?
So it's pretty simple. The things that deter woodchucks if you're having them as a nuisance animal are things like pinwheels that you can get from the dollar store, things like ammonia-soaked rags or dirty cat litter. Same concept there, so it deters them from being in that area. But you can also do things that are measured to make your yard more habitable for them. So really awesome ways to coexist with them, like leaving a portion of your lawn wild or providing cover for them. That's why they're seeking your houses and your sheds to go underneath. Instead, offer a brush pile that's at the back of your yard, and they can dig underneath that and just be as safe as under your shed.
That's some really amazing information, and I honestly didn't know that something as simple as a windmill from the dollar store would make such a big difference in the lives of those wild animals. So hopefully you all were able to pick up some tips as well that can help keep groundhogs from ending up in our clinic. But it's time to shoot over to our snack contest winner, and then hold tight. Woody's big prediction is coming soon. I know you all can't wait to find out if your snack was the winning snack, but first, let's check in with Laura, our Director of Wildlife and Education over at the Groundhog Habitat.
Hi everyone, I'm here at the Woodchuck Habitat where Woody and her friends live. Evan mentioned earlier that this year's event is a fundraiser for a new habitat, which we're all really excited about. While we're still focusing on healing and sustainability due to the current health landscape and its repercussions, we want to continue to grow within our mission. Part of that is ensuring we are providing the best possible welfare for all of our wildlife ambassadors, as well as inclusive experience for all of our guests. While our current habitat is nice, we want to do better. Part of the habitat feature you'll see is this tunnel here, where people can climb inside and pop through and get a closer up view of the woodchucks. You can see that in order to go in, it's pretty short. So this is something that we want to address so that we're accessible to all different people. And now let's go inside the habitat to look at it from a groundhog point of view so you get a better understanding of what the groundhogs are experiencing in their home. So here we are inside of the woodchuck habitat. You can see that it's a nice size for a groundhog, but we know that groundhogs use much more space than this in the wild, so we'd like to make it much larger. Our goal with all of our habitats here is to build them to resemble natural habitats as closely as possible. Remember, all of our ambassadors are animals who cannot survive in the wild. It is our job to bring the wild to them and give them everything they need to thrive. You will notice this habitat is pretty simple. We can and we do offer enrichment, but we would like the new habitat to be much more complex with a variety of substrates, changing topography, vegetation, shelter areas, and even a water feature. With the new habitat, we will ensure we are providing many more opportunities that are built in for animals to engage in natural behaviors. We all know that groundhogs dig, so we'll provide deeper and more substrates for digging. And they're actually very good climbers. You can see in this habitat, it's not very tall. It can barely even stand up straight. So in the new habitat, we'll build platforms and structures for them to climb. You'll also notice that there aren't any woodchucks in here right now. That's because during winter, they have to go to a different winter space. You saw earlier with Chelsea that Woody was in her winter space. Our new habitat will have an attached building with heat so that the groundhogs can stay here year-round, and this will give them the opportunity to come outside on warm days and enjoy nice warm weather. So I hope that you can see our vision here. I hope that we're able to show you what we want to do for the woodchucks, and we think that they will really love their new home and it will make their lives even better. So please consider making a donation today to help us achieve this goal that is so near and dear to our hearts. Thank you. And with that, I think we'll send you back over to Evan, who will let you know who won the snack contest.
All right. Hey, everyone. So I hope you've enjoyed that unique perspective from within the groundhog habitat. That's really another great benefit to these virtual events, is that we get to go places with you all that you don't normally get to go with us in person. But now it's time to talk about our Groundhog Day snacks. Now, if you are a groundhog, these are the kind of snacks that you really like, something like rodent block, some nice greens, some leafy greens, maybe a bit of squash, some almonds as a treat, and an apple, but those aren't the kind of snacks that you all submitted. So we are finally ready to announce the winner of the snack contest. And as a reminder, we invited all of you all to make any sort of Groundhog Day snack you wanted. And the only requirement was that it had to scream Groundhog Day. We got some amazing submissions. Let's check them out. Thank you to everyone who participated. Those looked absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, there can only be one winner, so the winner was selected by a panel of our staff members, and they will receive a $50 gift certificate to use however they want here at HNC. And if we do a little bit of a drum roll, the winner is... Oh, wait. I've just received word. Woody is ready to make her prediction. All right, who wants 6 more weeks of winter? No, not me. Sorry, I don't like winter that much. Well, I do, just not that much. Now, I know I am definitely hoping for an early spring, but let's go to JC and Laura and see what Woody predicts.